3 women vanished out of a house overnight, and they left absolutely everything behind. Their purses were still inside, their car keys were still there, their makeup, their jewelry, their clothes, all of it untouched. 2 of them were smokers, and their cigarettes were still sitting in the house. Their cars, all 3 of them, were parked right outside, and their little dog was still in there, alone, agitated, waiting. The front door was unlocked. The beds looked slept in. There was no blood, no sign of a struggle, nothing broken, nothing overturned, nothing to suggest that anything violent had happened in that home at all. The only thing missing from that house was the 3 of them. Their names were Sherrill Levitt, her 19-year-old daughter Suzie Streeter, and Stacy's best friend, 18-year-old Stacy McCall. And on the morning of June 7, 1992, in Springfield, Missouri, they simply ceased to exist. That was more than 30 years ago. Since then, there have been thousands of tips, dozens of searches, a handful of names that keep coming up, and one persistent, agonizing rumor about where their bodies might be. And in all that time, not one trace of any of them has ever been found. Not a body, not a bone, not a single thing. This is the case of the Springfield 3, and the most painful part of it may be that the answer was almost certainly right there in that house, and it was swept up and thrown away by people who were only trying to help. Let me tell you who they were. Sherrill Levitt was 47 years old. She worked as a cosmetologist, a hairdresser. She was, by all accounts, a warm, hard-working woman who had raised her daughter largely on her own. She lived in a modest house on East Delmar Street in Springfield, Missouri. She had plans for the next day. She was, in every sense, a woman in the middle of an ordinary life. Her daughter, Suzie Streeter, went by Suzie. She was 19, bright, social, a little bit of a free spirit. And on the 6th of June, 1992, Suzie did something that should have been the happiest milestone of her young life. She graduated from high school. Her best friend, Stacy McCall, graduated that same day. Stacy was 18, pretty, well-liked, close with her family. She and Suzie were inseparable, the way teenage best friends are. And that night they were going to celebrate the way every graduate does. Parties, friends, laughter, staying out too late. Two teenage girls with their whole lives in front of them, and a mother who had done the hard work of getting one of them there. 24 hours later, all 3 of them would be gone. June 6th, 1992. Graduation day. Suzie and Stacy went to the ceremony, and then, as you'd expect, they went out. They hit graduation parties around Springfield. They were having the night of their lives. Photos from that evening show 2 happy, laughing teenagers. The original plan had been to stay over at another friend's house, but sometime in the early hours, that plan changed. The house was crowded, or too loud, or they just wanted somewhere quieter, and the girls decided instead to go back to Suzie's place, to Sherrill's house on East Delmar. That decision, made casually at 2 in the morning by two exhausted 18 and 19-year-olds, is the hinge this entire tragedy turns on. They arrived at the house sometime around 2 a.m. Sherrill was home. What happened after that is the black box at the center of this case, because from that moment there is no reliable account of what took place in that house. No witness, no sound anyone reported, nothing. By the time the sun came up, the house was empty.
It was friends who discovered it. Later that morning, people started coming by the house. Some were looking for the girls because plans had been made for the day. Graduation weekend was still going. There was a water park trip on the schedule. And when they got to Sherrill's home, things were wrong. The front door was unlocked. That alone was odd. Inside, the dog, Cinnamon, was upset and unsettled. And as friends moved through the house calling out, the strangeness deepened with every room. Sherrill's purse, there. Suzie's purse, there. Stacy's purse, there. All three of their sets of car keys, there. All three of their cars sitting outside. Clothes laid out. Jewelry left. Cigarettes left. Beds that appeared to have been slept in or at least lain in. And, most tellingly of all, no sign whatsoever of violence. No broken furniture, no blood, no sign anyone had fought. 3 adult women had gone out of that house without their money, their identification, their keys, their cars, their phones, their cigarettes, and their shoes in some accounts, and without leaving so much as a scuff mark behind. People do not leave like that voluntarily, and people do not usually get taken that quietly. And then there was the porch light. Outside the front door, the glass globe covering the porch light had been shattered. Broken glass was scattered on the ground. It is, on its own, a small thing, a broken light. In a normal week, nobody would think twice about it. But in the context of 3 women vanishing from that exact doorway, it becomes possibly the single most important physical clue in the entire case. Was it broken in a struggle? Was it deliberately broken by someone who wanted the doorway dark? Did it happen that night or days before? We will never know, because a friend who came to the house that morning trying to be helpful, seeing broken glass where people would be walking, swept it up and threw it away. That was not the only thing lost. There was also an answering machine in that house, and at some point that morning, a message was on it. A message that has been described as strange, disturbing, obscene, and it was erased, accidentally, by well-meaning people handling the machine as they tried to reach the missing women. Think about that. The last message that may have come into that house before or after 3 people disappeared, gone. The physical evidence at the door swept into a bin. And that is before you consider what happened next, which is that friends and family, frantic and terrified, moved through that house for hours before it was ever treated as a crime scene. Fingerprints, footprints, fibers, all of it walked through, touched, contaminated by people whose only crime was loving these women and being desperate to find them. By the time law enforcement fully took hold of the scene, much of what it might have told them was already gone. And so began one of the largest and most frustrating missing persons investigations in Missouri history. Thousands of tips came in. Billboards went up along the highways. Rewards were offered. Psychics called. Searchers combed fields, wells, ponds, quarries, and abandoned buildings across the region. The families gave interviews year after year, aging in public, asking anyone who knew anything to come forward. And nothing. In more than 32 years, not one confirmed piece of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, or Stacy McCall has ever been recovered. Not a body, not a bone, not a personal item dropped by the roadside. Nothing. That in itself tells you something. 3 people is a lot of people to move and a lot of people to hide. Whoever did this, if it was one person, was either extraordinarily lucky or knew exactly what they were doing. Quick word before we keep going. If these cases matter to you the way they matter to me, please subscribe. This channel is built on exactly this, the cases that were closed but never solved. And there's a new one every week. Now, let's talk about the names that keep coming up. And I'll be careful here, the way I always am, because not one of them has ever been charged with anything in this case. Over the years, several people have drawn the attention of investigators. The one that comes up most is a man who was living in Springfield at the time, a former soldier with a violent criminal history in other matters. He has never been charged in connection with the Springfield 3, but he has said things over the years that made investigators and the public sit up. He has claimed in interviews that he knows the women are dead. He has said their bodies will never be found, and he has suggested that he would tell the full truth only after his mother had passed away. At the same time, he has denied being responsible for their deaths. Let me be extremely clear, because this matters. This man has never been charged with these disappearances. He has not been convicted of anything to do with this case. He denies killing them. Whatever anyone believes privately, in the eyes of the law, he is a person of interest who made statements, and that is all. I'm not going to stand here and name a living man as a murderer when no court ever has. Other names have surfaced too over the decades. Men connected to other violent crimes in the region. Men who were around at the time. Tips that pointed in a dozen directions. Every one of them was looked at. Not one of them produced enough to charge anybody. And then there is the rumor about the parking garage. In the years after the disappearance, a persistent theory took hold that the 3 women were buried beneath a parking garage that was under construction in Springfield at around the time they vanished. The idea is grimly plausible on its face. A construction site with fresh concrete and excavation, right at the moment 3 bodies needed to disappear, is exactly the kind of place a killer might use. And the story gained enough traction that investigators eventually did take it seriously. Ground-penetrating radar was used. Anomalies were reportedly detected. There was talk for years of digging, but nothing conclusive ever came of it. The searches that were done did not produce the women, and so the garage theory sits where so much of this case sits, tantalizing, unproven, and unresolved. A slab of concrete that may or may not be a grave, that no one has ever been able to definitively rule in or out. For the families, that has been its own particular cruelty. To be told over and over that your daughter, your sister, your mother might be right there,
under a structure people park their cars on every day, and to never get the certainty of knowing. Imagine driving past that building for 30 years. So what happened in that house? Let me lay out the honest shape of it. The most widely held view is that someone came to that door. Whether they knocked, or forced their way in, or were let in by someone who knew them, is unknown. But the theory holds that this person or people controlled the situation quickly and quietly enough that 3 women left that house without a struggle. Probably under threat, probably by force, but the kind of force that does not leave a mark on the furniture. That points to a weapon. It also points to someone capable and calm, and it may point to more than one person, because moving 3 adults quietly at night is not a simple thing for one man alone. The second possibility, raised over the years, is that they were lured out, that a phone call, a knock, or a familiar voice got them to step outside voluntarily, and it happened out there in the dark, at the doorway where the porch light had been broken. And the third possibility is the one that keeps this case in the realm of the truly unsolved, that we simply do not have the pieces, that the evidence that would have told us was thrown in a bin and erased from a tape by 2 well-meaning friends on a June morning in 1992. Every version leads to the same wall. No scene, no bodies, no forensics, no charge. I want to bring it back to the women and to the families, because they are the ones who have carried this. Sherrill Levitt was a mother who had worked hard for her daughter's life. Suzie Streeter had graduated high school the day before with everything ahead of her. Stacy McCall was 18 years old, staying over at her best friend's house on the biggest weekend of her young life, exactly where a parent would want their kid to be, safe, with a friend, with a mom in the house. That's what makes this one land the way it does. There was no risky decision here, no dark road, no stranger's car, no bad choice. 3 people went to sleep in a family home in an ordinary neighborhood, with the doors closed and the dog inside, and the world took them anyway. Their families have spent more than 30 years living with it. Parents who have died without ever getting an answer. Siblings who have grown old holding vigils and putting up billboards. A community that has never really let go, and a town where, to this day, people still slow down when they drive past that house. And underneath all of it is the detail I cannot stop thinking about. Somebody swept up the glass. Somebody erased the tape, not out of malice, out of kindness, out of that ordinary human instinct to tidy up and to help, and it may have cost 3 women their justice. So I'll leave it with you, the way I always do. What do you think happened at that house on East Del Mar Street? Did someone come to the door? Were the 3 of them lured out into the dark? Was it one person or more than one? And is there any real chance that the answer is still down there under a parking garage, waiting for someone with the will to dig? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and on this one, I especially want to hear from anyone who knows Springfield, because this case belongs to that town as much as to anyone. I'm Gravenfield, the cases that were closed but never solved. If you made it this far, you understand exactly what this channel is. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves out there. And if you ever find yourself standing in a place where something terrible may have happened, don't clean it up. Call someone.